So I found out about Latrice from a good friend and neighbor of mine's, the Smiths, and they spoke very, very highly of her. I think just had no, negative things to say. And so I called Latrice immediately. I think I was on the way to pick up
on
food.
Mother's Day.
Yeah. Oh, was it on
It was on Mother's Day. We had a conversation.
Yeah. And I'm kind of an impatient person, and so I think maybe that's why I was like, oh, I didn't even realize. I'm gonna call her right now. And you picked up, and I was like, oh, great. I can chat and have a conversation and see, if this is a good fit. And I think you came by the very next day and dropped off your box of materials, again, which I was impressed with, just kind of, thinking ahead, one step ahead. I wasn't really thinking you'd just pop up and be there, but that was great. So I reviewed your materials, and I think you chatted for a little bit in my driveway, because again, it was during the onset of COVID.
Right. COVID was definitely running rapid at that point in time. So I think we stood a good 7 feet apart.
We had our masks on.
Yes. We were very much being conservative. I think I was just like, oh, let me give you this box.
Yes. You're like, here, I'll just throw it over there. But yeah, you answered a lot of my questions. I think I asked you just about, the market and how things were going. Obviously being a seller during a major pandemic was something I've never gone through before. Right. Something you probably have not gone through before either. So we were kind of just
all new to this.
Yeah, trying to figure it out. And you gave me some numbers, and I'm definitely a numbers person. And I think we kind of we were trained in similar mindsets. We both came from UCLA, and that was another thing that we instantly connected on, was that we were both UCLA alums and former Bruins.
South Campus.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the whole numbers thing, I feel like you just had, you were just shooting out numbers, and that for me as an analytical kind of blue type, if you will, resonated with me, and I was like, all right, I'm on board. I gotta actually, and I also like to do my research and do my due diligence.
Which I did not know until after we closed. You're like, by the way, I researched you.
Yes.
And I think you even interviewed. Did you interview other agents?
Yes, I did. Of course. I mean, I can't do the first person. So I had talked to a few others, and I just wanted again to do my due diligence. I looked through their binders, and a few days later, I think I called you back, and I was like, let's do it. And then I think a day later, your camera person showed up and was at my house,
ready to film.
Really quickly, kind of semi-staged it and was ready to film. So,
right. So, couple things. Meet April. Already, we were super chatty that day.
Yep.
Upon meeting each other, I don't know if we found out we both went to UCLA that day, but I remember being oh, she's really cool. I know when I have connection with people. And I was like, okay.
Yep.
Then I gave you my box, and I was like, I didn't know. You never know in these cases. So I gave you my box or whatnot, and then when you called back, you were ready to move though. You were so just so you know, we've already put in this offer on this house and whatnot, and so we really need to get this home sold, and this is what we have to get. This is what April was so direct with what she wanted, and I was like, okay, here we go, let's do this.
Work your magic, do your thing.
And so we did, and then we had Nathan come, and we did the video.
Yep.
We looked at some more numbers, and I was giving you kind of a scope because we were in a weird landscape at that time.
Yep.
That I had never, I literally was coming out of some really, really good listings that sold really quickly. My listings usually stay on the market a few days, and they were selling really quickly. And then we got to your listing, and we actually came upon a couple of hiccups.
Yep.
And so I think one of the things that we had to do with April was pivot quickly and figure out how to pivot effectively and what needed to be done so that we could make sure that her home got sold. Because at the end of the day, April was moving. She was removing contingencies on the next home, and we had to get that home sold. And so there are a couple of things that I promised you. You want to talk about that?
So Latrice was so confident, and I mean, I had told because I have friends that are realtors, right? And I told them what you had promised me, which was basically paying half my mortgage. And
after the 90?
After about 90-day time frame, that's right. And they were like,
is she crazy?
They actually just didn't believe it. They're like, no, I think you misheard. And so, I don't know if I told you that.
No.
So, they're like, I would get that in writing, because I think you misheard.
We did.
So, yeah, we did. I was like, no, here it is in writing. They're like, oh, that's great. I guess she'll either be paying or it'll just be sold. So that offered a lot of reassurance. I felt like, especially during this pandemic, and I was also a first-time house seller, and so I had no idea. I'm like, do these things stay on the market for years? I don't know. I really don't. But I know that we have a new mortgage to pay, I have an old mortgage to pay, and we're in the middle of the pandemic. So there's just so much uncertainty with jobs and other expenses that are incurred during that time, that I feel like you just offered that like insurance policy that, it was probably like a thing in my head that it just felt like peace of mind, right?
It gave you peace of mind to know, like, okay, at least I don't have to come out of pocket for 2 full mortgages.
Right.
And for me, because of my background, like being in finance, always being super analytical with numbers, I just knew to analyze the numbers. At the end of the day, the numbers like don't lie. And I kept telling you guys that, like, the numbers don't lie. Here's how the longest home that's stayed on the market in this area, because we were in Beacon Park, so I like knew that area very well. So here's what's happening. And so I think I was just very confident in the numbers, and number 2, my ability to like get a home sold, to do what we needed to do.
Yeah. Honestly, overall, I feel like it was such, if I can just think back overall, a huge like learning. It was just like a great learning experience. Everything in real estate, and like just understanding markets, and like the whole process from the seller's point of view, and
who pays for what.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think for people who have never done this before, or just like new home buyers or new home sellers, like you have a knack for that type, because you were really great at explaining you just like every step of the way, and like what do you expect next, what's going to happen after that. And like for someone like me who's a planner and likes to know like what the next 10 steps are, I think you were really good at being able to digest it and then like present it in like a very understandable,
in layman's
digestible way.
terms. Yeah. People don't know what they're supposed to pay for. I remember one of your questions, like you were like, wait, I pay for title insurance? I think that was like one of your questions. And I was like, yes, as a seller you do. Like on the buyer side you didn't pay.
Right.
But on the seller side, these are the couple things that you pay for, and this is why, and this is what it covers. So I think really helping people understand the process is important, because then you feel confident in the decisions that are being made. And I'm here to, guide, but I'm also here to get the transaction done. So if I can help you understand, then we can move together to get
And it can be an overwhelming experience, because for someone who's never done it before, like all these terms and all the paperwork, and it's a lot of money, it's kind of like a stressful time. So if you have someone to walk you through all those steps and kind of just be one step ahead as well, I think is obviously a really valuable thing.
I try what I can.
Yeah. So, yes, but it had nothing to do with her per se. I feel like, well, again, this is the learning experience, right? I think if I could go back, it would have been listening to you from the very beginning and not to my husband. Can I say that? Because I'll provide this example. He's a physician, right? And like, I would never tell him how to treat his patients.
Because we don't know.
Similarly, I don't know, like, this is your field. I'm like, oh, I think we should price it at this, or I think we need to sell at this price. I think that's kind of leave it to the expert and the person who knows the market. So, unfortunately, his voice was a little stronger in that.
And as it should. I was like the stranger new to your life.
Yes.
He's like the husband, you know?
Yeah, so I think I would have just maybe tried to use you a little bit in a different way. I mean, I probably would have been like, no, Latrice, we have to do this. I don't know, I would have couched it or positioned it a little bit differently, and I think we would have been in a slightly different situation.
Right.
And moved up timelines a little bit and been in a different place. But, you know, first impression is exactly that, and I think, you know, the onset, we had set it a little bit high.
Yeah, well, and at the end of the day, I think after we kind of got into our relationship a little bit better, I think you were like my advocate for Nick. You'd be like, Latrice said we should do this, and he's like, okay, Latrice, I'm gonna let him know that we should be doing this. Yes. And you were like my advocate by the end of all of it. And one of the things with April's, because not all real estate transactions go smoothly, and that's just the name of the game, and you never know which home is not gonna go smoothly and what other people are gonna think. So I went and took a look at April's home when I did my walkthrough, and I was like, this home is gorgeous. She had marble backsplash, she had beautiful flooring. I mean, the home looked and functioned like a single family home. It was on a premium lot. Like these are things that we together were like, people are gonna love this. They are going to be all over it. So April's home, because it was so gorgeous, it got so many showings, like so many showings, but no offers, So what I had to do was like help us understand like what's going on in the market. So pricing is always one of the things that when you get a bunch of showings and no one's putting in offers, they probably just think we're a little bit unrealistic when it comes to the price. So that was one thing we had to tweak. And then secondly, I think it was important to dive into the feedback that we were getting from the agents. And I always ask agents for feedback because I need to know what is it that they're seeing that maybe because I'm in there with you guys and I'm sometimes not as objective because I'm subjective. I thought your house was gorgeous, and it was gorgeous. But I'm like, what's that feedback? So one of the things we kept hearing is the dining area just seemed a little bit small. And I'm like, what do they mean? Okay. So that was my cue that we had to stage the home. And I literally was like, we have to stage the home. We have to make this space look bigger than what people are coming in and seeing. And so they, April and the kids and Nick, they were still living there, but the moment they moved out, a big truck pulled up, like full of goodies. It was like the absolute moment they left. I had my stagers there, I had my cleaning people there. We had to do a little bit of paint just to freshen everything up, change things up, got some new pictures, put it on the MLS. We had an offer within the week. Yep. And it sold, it closed. And so it's things like that I think as an agent, it's my job to kind of help it along. But we don't know these things until we're in it. Yeah. But the pivot points I think are important to be able to guide my clients into getting their home sold at the end of the day. Yeah. And we beat our 90-day mark. Yes, we did. She never paid for any of my mortgage. And you guys sold your house, and it's a happily ever after. Yes, all is well. Mm-hmm. All is well. Definitely, yes. Yeah. Based on all the things I just said, yeah. And what I will say, I loved April. Like, so as April and I got to know each other, I was like, I really want to be her friend, but I really got to get her home sold first. Like, I have to do that. Was contingent. Like, if I don't get her home sold, like, we're not going to be able to be friends. Because at this point, like, I had seen, like, some of your activities on social media, and I was like, she's, like, so my person. And one of the things I loved best about April is she was my spy as well. April would be like, Latrice, they're inside the house, listening from the Ring camera. They're inside the house. They're getting ready to call you. They're going to ask you these questions. And that is what you call an amazing seller, because those are just things that I wouldn't have been able to know in advance. And it made me answering those questions for people a lot easier because I knew what was coming. So I loved working with April. It was a very amazing experience. It's a memorable experience. It's memorable. I mean, the pandemic threw some, little curveballs. But I mean, that was the only way I knew if someone left my house was my camera.
Because then I'm
Because
like,
sometimes they didn't let me know.
they don't let, yeah, and then you're out of your house for multiple hours with small children and a nanny and trying to take a work call from a neighbor's internet in their backyard.
I think you were like in a driveway at one point.
Yes, I really was. And I'm like, my kids are on their iPads in their car seats, and we're literally waiting for these people to leave our house so that we can go back in. And as soon as I got the notification on my Ring camera, I was like, yes, they left. We can go back. So, you know, technology can help a lot.
It does.
And especially during a pandemic when you can't have...
You can't be out, really. You can't go anywhere.
Yes, and the whole private appointments and not being able to have open houses. I think that was another thing that you were like quick to like what's the word, pivot and like navigate this new uncharted territory, which no one has done before.
Right. We were all learning.
And we figured it out.
And we got it sold.
Yes.
And now we're here at your beautiful new home in Laguna Beach. You love it?
We do, yep. We do.
Never gonna move.
We're not gonna move from this area now. So it's just a different lifestyle, different kind of feeling, but I've adjusted very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And then I get to come over and enjoy the breeze and enjoy nice day. All clients are definitely family, and after COVID ends, we'll be able to like have client appreciations and hang out more, because geez, COVID.
yeah.
It's ruined my life.
Yeah, we figured it out, navigated through it, and all with your kind of guidance and expertise. So yeah, it's a stressful time, but you made it manageable.
I try. I really do try. And I've said this before, it's like exceptional service all the time with a little bit of fun. Like that's my mantra, and that's what I like to say.
Yes.
Try to make it fun, because it's already stressful. So if I can do anything to help a client ease into the transaction, get the home sold, have it be somewhat seamless, like then I've done my job.
Yeah.